feeding Gotham's wealth, its spirit, but your feast is nearly over.
This is not my home. It's an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. Why aren't you laughing?
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Welcome to the Batman Book Club, a podcast exploring the Dark Knight Library. I'm your host, Ryan Lauer. The Batman Book Club is a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network, hosted by Batman on Film. Just go to batmanonfilm.com, click on podcasts, and you'll find the Batman Podcast Network that has a whole list of other Bat-related shows that also like to dive into other nerdy subjects we all love to frolic about in our free time. Batman Book Club is also on Patreon. If you like what's going on with the show and you want to help support the show, just go to patreon.com/thebatmanbc. It'll help keep the generators running here in the Wayne Manor study. Now, thank you for listening to episode 117, The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. Joining me, he's not a stranger to the show. He's making a triumphant return, though. I think he was on earlier this year, I believe. Or was I on his show? I don't know. He is from the Geek Ultimate Alliance. He's a good pal of mine to talk to. Love talking comic books with him. Chris Balga. Chris, welcome back to the Batman Book Club.
See, that was one thing I wanted to ask offline, but you've already answered the question. How are we pronouncing Ra's al Ghul?
Listen, I've always thought about that, and I know that Batman Begins, a lot of people don't like that he started the Ra's. I always thought Ra's, even though the animated series said Raish. I heard in interviews, Denny and Neil Adams both say Ra's and Raish. So it's like, we all know who we're talking about. Pronounce how you want.
Let's focus on the important. Let's focus on the important thing, not the.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Always
thanks
good
for
talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And again, it's Batman. So, like I was saying before, I said, man, I'm reaching back into some of my my cult classic favorites. I consider this necessarily not usually at top of the people's list, but I'd certainly love it. So,
yes, I love the classics. Like just a couple episodes ago, did Death of the Family. It took 114 episodes for someone to pick Death of the Family. So there's still classics that have not been explored. But then I do like the what do you want to call them? The deeper dives. You know, like and I consider this one a little bit more of a deep dive. It's fairly, recent-ish. But before we get into that, I have to ask you.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. Chris, have you been reading any Batman lately, aside from what we're going to talk about?
Yes, I've been luckily keeping up to date on some of the recent stuff. So I would say most of the Batman titles I've really enjoyed. Robin, the
Shadow
Lazarus War, the Shadow War, the Lazarus War.
Yeah.
That was a nice surprise. But loving Batman Beyond the White Knight. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Was that the last book? I feel like this is your fourth appearance on the show. I see. This is where I'm a bad host. Didn't do my homework. I should have seen which one you did last time.
It's all right. I want to say this is the fourth time. I really want to. So, because I would think that done Hush, we've done Tower of Babel. Done
Tower of Babel was the last one.
Yep,
that's
it.
it.
Tower of Babel. So I think this is the fourth. Yeah,
there we go.
First time we did, my first one was Black Mirror. So yeah, this is 4.
Okay, there we go.
So I might get like a Batman book club smoking jacket at that point. I mean, the 4-timers club.
Yeah, 4-timers club.
I mean, I don't think we can compete with your monthly guests with your normal crew at that point.
Yeah, Pete has a pretty good lead on everybody, and I get to hear about that quite a bit. But I'm just glad that we were able to track that down of which episode, because I'd have hated had to fix that in post and be like, man, I think this was the 3rd time that you've been on the show, something like that. Really bad noticeable edit. Very cool. Yeah, I really liked that story. Obviously, we do the monthlies, so I'm keeping up on all that Batman stuff. But that was with events, and we're going to talk about this here in just a minute, of like events and crossover titles and stuff like that. I got a little burned out by that when I started my monthly comic book reading and everything. And so I think I still hesitate when that's going to be an event. And I'm like, I don't know. But because we're doing the monthly talks, I had to read it. But actually, I really, really liked it. I was like, okay, well, this is how you do it.
Yes.
which is funny because some of those characters pop up in the book that we're about to talk about. So
exactly.
let's dive right into then the book we're going to talk about, Batman: The Resurrection of Ra's/Ra's al Ghul. Now, this book, stand by, came out in 2007 physically. Multi-title crossover. Batman issues 670, 671. Robin issues 168 and 169. Nightwing issues 138 and 139. And Detective Comics 838 and 839. And then an epilogue in 840. Now, a vast amount of writers and artists were on this story, including Grant Morrison, Peter Milligan, Fabian Nicieza, Paul Dini, and Paul Dini, artists Tony Daniel, Freddie E. Williams II, Peter Bellion, Don Kramer, oh my gosh, my writing's small, Ryan Benjamin, and Dustin Wen. Phew! So it came out physically. It was collected in a trade paperback. It was collected in a hardcover. It is not available on my favorite app of all time, Hoopla, but the issues are available to buy digitally as well as on DC Universe Infinite. So, Mr. Balga, I can see you right now, and I think I know what book you have. But why don't you tell everybody else which version you read?
I read the hardcover, and the only reason I read the hardcover is because I do have Grant Morrison's collection in omnibus, all three of them. But because it's not all written by Grant Morrison, you can't find that all in Grant Morrison. I also have the Paul Dini omnibus at that point. That also you cannot find everything because it's all not written by Paul Dini, and that's the trouble with creator focused omnis at that point. But I don't even, this one I got, I believe, I can't remember if I got this off eBay for a good deal or on Hamilton Books. Because I know it's not easy to find. I don't know if it's technically out of print. I'm not sure. It definitely is not an easy one to find, but I don't know if it's technically deemed out of print.
Technically, as bad as it sounds, I can't find it on some of the sites that I go to buy brand new. And so then it is so is it on Amazon? And I think you have to buy,
in the
seller
marketplace
copies. And stuff.
Then that's basically, it's out of print.
Yeah. And which on Amazon they have, that's the French edition. Okay.
Oh, that's helpful.
But if you click hardcover, that's not bad. Hardcover, they've got used copies as low as $9.92, $13.90. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not bad.
Yeah.
eBay has some for a little more than that. I just looked up, but
yeah. So it may be out of print, but definitely not a high price book.
No, you can track that down. Me, and I get very excited when I do this. Took a trip to my archives and grabbed my floppies.
Yep. I used to have this, but this past spring I sold it. I sold pretty much majority, I'd say about 97% of my floppies to my buddy JP, who runs an online graphic novel store called organicpricebooks.com. And
nice.
He does whatnots and things like that. So he's using it to sell and throws them in mystery box at that point. I've had two very small boxes of singles now, of like ones that mean something to me or ones that maybe one day I might slab them, but probably not because I just don't have the time or the patience or want to pay the money. But they mean something to me. But yeah, I did have this series in singles, but those are gone to some other home now.
It was fun for me to go and grab these because when this book came out, as I've said here, it was basically Grant Morrison's run was my end to for the first time ever that I got to start reading monthly issues of Batman and Detective and stuff. So this was the first crossover event that I could do. So I was definitely, I was young and excited that I was a big boy now, making my own choices. There were comic book shops in my area. So of course
I got my money in a wallet.
That's right. That's right. It's payday. So it's all going to comic books. And then I'll make sure to buy ramen noodles and that's all I'll need to eat. I'll be fine.
Yes.
So yeah, that was exciting. I'm glad that I got to go through these for this reading. So again, I'm glad that you chose this book. And do you remember the first time that you read The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul?
I definitely read it first run. This was during when I still was collecting singles at that point. I loved Morrison's run. I mean, Morrison's run, it kind of starts and stops. So, the last major thing I had seen with Ra's in it was, Legacy.
Okay.
So that's like kind of the last major event that I remember kind of sticking out of my mind. I can't remember. No,
I don't want to interrupt because I have a more recent one, but I want to see
yeah,
if that's what you're thinking of.
I was about to say No Man's Land would happen after that, right? Or no? Yeah, No Man's Land would happen after that. So
No Man's Land would happen after that, but actually, it was its own limited series, 9 issues. Batman: Death and the Maidens.
yes, there you go. That I knew I
That
was
was the
missing
one.
something. Yep, that's
Which-
also that's a pretty stellar one at that too.
That's a great story. Not covered on this show yet. Yes, choose whatever books you want. But that one hasn't been covered yet. I'm just saying. And also, lastly, I first read it since I have these issues. A weekly. I read it as soon as it came out.
Mhm.
I was all in on the Batman title and following along and reading everything. So I was getting this as soon as it was coming out in 2007. And then lastly, Chris, why the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul?
I've loved Roz as a character. I think it's an interesting dynamic that he's always had between Bruce and him. I mean, come on. I mean, I always hear our most recently deceased voice actor who had played Roz in the animated series. That's the voice I hear, and I just love the whole idea of like calling him the detective. Like they have this mutual understanding with each other, even though they're bitter rivals and know they'll never be on the same side. But it always makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But what I will say, and spoiler alert for those who haven't seen the Injustice movie, that's on HBO Max and things like that. I did not like his involvement in that. I thought it was very thrown in.
I need to rewatch that because I watched it and I mean like the day it came out, and then I haven't revisited it, and I do sort of forget what all happened. So I mean, you could have said, "Hey Ryan, was Roz in that movie?" And I'd say, I don't know. Was he? I watched it. I don't remember.
And maybe it's my love of the Injustice comic at that point that I already have many problems with that movie, but that one was just like, nope, sorry, don't need Roz in it. Sorry.
Gotcha.
That seems unnecessary.
Well, it's kind of so Roz was and I apologize to whoever's listening, and every time I say Roz, they're like, "Oh my god, it's Rage!" But I'm really surprised it took us 117 episodes to get a Ra's al Ghul story.
Well, no, we had one.
Well, we had Tower of Babel. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the Al Ghul guy.
I am, apparently.
Chris Al Ghul. There we go.
So maybe I'll choose Death of Maidens just to continue that.
Yeah, why not? Keep that trend going. That's true. Yeah. So Tower of Babel. Okay. I mean, I am like it kind of surprised me. I'm really glad that you picked this one though, because he's an interesting character to me in that when I first started reading Batman comics, my first stack that I got when I was, like 7, there was no Ra's al Ghul. He wasn't a character that I learned about until early 2000s, and his stories didn't necessarily excite me. But I don't know what it is about him. Of maybe as you grow and you mature. Believe it or not, I'm more mature now than I was, 20 years ago.
Hey,
but,
we learn, we grow.
We do. But there's there's something in, like you already said, the respect of the two characters. And there's almost more in dialogue that you appreciate than, the action, the sword fights and stuff, which sure, there's plenty of that with him. But he was definitely a character that I started to appreciate and enjoy more as I got older. So when you picked this story, and now I remember, when you picked Tower of Babel, which that one, it's crazy to me that I even forgot that was the first one. We talked about him before, but I'm glad you picking this one because I don't know, I more of that dynamic. And then like you said, of David Warner, RIP, you can hear him when there's detective uttered from his mouth in these comics. You just totally hear that breakdown, detective.
And it's just interesting just because David Warner is not necessarily from the Middle East at that point, but it just, Roz is basically, but it just, he carries this stature above, he handles it so well. And so, okay, ethnically shouldn't match, but it works just because of what it is. Even Liam Neeson playing him in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
It just, he I'd be hard pressed to not say that. And I can't remember behind the scenes stuff whether he looked at some of the animated series to kind of carry that weight, because he does it very well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we just kind of said, that setting up for this story, we know Damien is still a pretty new character.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't been around for, he'd been around for when this story started. Yeah, like not even a year.
Yeah, he still probably
still new.
Was. he definitely wasn't where I've grown to actually like Damien.
Yeah, I was really annoyed by Damien still.
Most of us were just because I think, when you have people like Jason Todd, like saying, oh, a lot of people like Jason, I was like, yeah, but Jason's got a lot of baggage, literally, to deal with now that he's grown up. But most of us, like for most of us, this is our first kind of real encounter, because when I was born, I didn't understand Jason Todd. Like my Robin was Tim Drake. So seeing that, and then seeing this kind of combative little person that says that, well, basically Bruce fathered a child out of wedlock with Talia. Well, it makes sense why he's acting the way he is, but it's rather interesting. Like I think this was the story that started the turn for me with Damien, considering that how attached he is to be with Bruce and Batman.
Yeah. I was still waiting for, this phase to run out. And he's not Robin anymore. He's gone. So I was still just waiting for that, because in my mind I couldn't accept the fact of like, why do we need another Robin? I know we've had Tim Drake for, over 15 years at this point and stuff, but it still wasn't like, we don't need another Robin yet.
Now I may be a bad listener of your show necessarily, but like with everything kind of blurs together when you have how many episodes. Has anyone done Batman and Robin Eternal?
No.
Okay. Maybe that
right.
may be one, because you make that statement, and I challenge anyone, you read Batman and Robin Eternal, that book really turns it on its head of why Batman needs a Robin.
And there's a lot of good arguments there on why Batman needs one. Robin's almost as old as Batman is. He's 1 year younger, historically speaking. But so in this story, Death in the Maidens was in 2003, and I believe it is hinted that Ra's died in that story. So he's dead. He's been gone for a couple of years, and they're not hiding it. This is called the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. So he's back from the dead.
Surprise! They start off with the whole issue. It's like, I wonder if he's coming back. Maybe.
What a twist! I like that this book does start off with a bang. Now it seems like, wow, what a first issue. But it kicks off in the Batman title with Grant Morrison and Tony Daniel. We didn't yet know where this Batman run from Morrison was ending up and how huge a part in Batman lore it was going to play. I think this story is, I'm not going to say it's ever forgotten, but I think a lot of people focus on Damien, the Batman Inc. and Batman R.I.P. And Final Crisis and the Return of Bruce Wayne. Like, those are what they think of with Grant Morrison. And it's like, oh, but right here in this little part is 2 parts of the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul that Grant Morrison also wrote, in which I know that's not necessarily originally his idea, and he was doing everything. It was as I already read the credits, multiple writers, multiple artists to tell one story in multiple titles. So I get that, but I think that the story kicks off in a very exciting way, in which I think I even messaged you the day that I started reading it, and I read that first chapter, and I was just like, spoiler alert, I'm really glad he chose this. Because it's been a while since I've read it, because I did not buy a trade or a hardcover, because I was like, I'm going to be responsible with my money. I don't need to double dip. I think that literally only lasted with the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. Everything before this and everything after it, I bought the issues, and then I bought the trade or the hardcover when it came out, but I didn't get this one. So I don't go back to my, go to my long box all the time and grab. So I don't know the last time that I read this. So I didn't remember specifics other than Ra's al Ghul gets resurrected.
Yeah, and this was interesting because it literally has 3 prelude issues before you get into the story proper.
So let's see, in your hardcover, from what I looked at, the epilogue, Detective 840, that one, what I read online was that one was not collected in the hardcover. What is everything else, including the prelude, Batman 670, up through these 7 parts following? Are those what's collected in your version?
The 7 parts and the 3 prelude issues are collected.
Ooh, so what's the other 2 prelude issues?
This one prelude, and the tough part about this one is that it just gives you and you could see
I can see the cover,
but doesn't tell you like what is it, a Batman book, is it a Robin book, is it a Nightwing book? But this one was written by Peter Milligan, so he did the first prelude, and then the second one, that one was called Prelude to Resurrection Shuffle. The next one was called Prelude, the Festival of the Hungry Ghosts. That was written by Keith Champagne, and the last one is the one that you have, Lazarus Rising.
Okay, so just pulled it up and I see now there's Batman Annual 26 and Robin Annual number 7. So I think what you just showed me was the Batman Annual 26.
Gotcha.
God, so I don't even have all the issues.
Now, I'd say that, maybe that first one it's probably, if I had to rank like the 3, the first and the last prelude, the middle one, the festival, I'm not a fan of the art. I'm sorry. Jason Pearson, not a fan. Just not my tempo. Not bad, just not my tempo.
Sure.
So yeah, I would probably, the first one is definitely better. It's a nice kind of story where it's looking on the backstory of Ra's and kind of where he's coming from, being told by Talia to Damian. And it's always fascinating where he is put into the historical record, because I'm a history nerd, and former history teacher, so it's interesting. And I wrote this down. Come on, how could Talia ever trust the White Ghost? He totally needs Damian to resurrect Ra's. So that's where this kind of starts about it. And then Damian, just as always, being the perfect entitled little brat that he is.
Well, I need to now get on to DC Universe Infinite and see if I can find this Batman Annual. I read it if they have it in the other ones. I'm a completist. It really annoys me that I don't have these.
Well, they might have it, because I know they do have in the storyline section. I know they have one for Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, so I think it might be collected in that, because they're really good about that.
I failed. I got to stop the recording. We'll do this again. I apologize. But okay, so setting the table then for those, you said that the Batman 670 issue, you think that one probably, like, I've never felt lost in starting the story.
No, and definitely not. It was more of, I think that one is just definitely more necessarily than the Festival of the Hungry Ghost, just because it sets up the White Ghost, the relationship she has with Damian, and what's kind of going on. So no, I don't think it's you have to read it, but it definitely you won't be disappointed if you do read it. It does set up. It does do a good setup.
I'll get there. I promise you, I won't let you down, Chris.
But I do love, like, having Tony Daniels art with Glapian's, inks is just like, this is the like, next to like Jim Lee, like those two together are like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, it's a good combo. This was my introduction to Tony Daniel.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think. I think these were the first issue. No, he might have done like 660.
He did he was tied to 52 for a while before that. And I think, wasn't he, trying to think of, I want to say he headed up some more stuff before then. But anyways,
as far as I go, or as far as like my reading with Daniel, this was, let's see, nope, that's Andy Huber. I was gonna say 664. I think 664, 665 of Batman were also Andy Huber. Anyway, sorry. Let's dive into the story. I'm getting so sidetracked here. It's this cool idea. I think this is a Grant Morrison idea that I could totally jump on. It's not too crazy. In the fact of Ra's al Ghul is going to be resurrected. He's back in a different body that's all wrapped up, and it's his consciousness that's transferring into somebody else. It's not full on. He jumped in the Lazarus pit. He's, what we've seen, which at this time my knowledge of him was not very deep, but I did know, Lazarus pit, that's where he goes and that's how he lives forever. Well, they did something a little different here, which I think is definitely interesting. And then what keeps the story going, the motivation, is that he has a grandson. Yep. I want my consciousness to go into my grandson's body, and I like younger, more, energetic, at his prime. Again, that's where he wants to start. He doesn't want to start in an adult's body. And that's basically how the story gets up and running. That's how it involves Damien, the Bat family, and everything. And I'm in on the idea from the beginning. I think it's really interesting to me. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, just because, again, like, he had died at the end of the Death of the Maidens, and so when, a man who can constantly resurrected, and Lazarus pits are becoming few and far between, it's rather interesting to see. I do like, we're getting at the heart of the matter in this book. I enjoyed the banter between this character I Ching and Batman to put the pieces together. That was a lot of fun. When we get these three female criminals, Tiger Moth, Silken Spider, and Dragonfly, I find that Batman is much less brutal, and methinks it's because they're women. But I guarantee you, if they were the other gender, it wouldn't be so nicely put down. But I do like one of them calling out Talia, saying, like, how long did it take you to throw together the naughty secretary? I was like, yep, we all kind of saw that image on the next page. I was like, all right. I see what you're doing here.
Yep.
I love the cosplay that the Hush cosplay that Roz is doing.
Yeah. Okay, that's where I was going to. And also with this new approach and how he's resurrected and whatnot, is he can't feel pain. I was trying to find the page so I knew the exact name of basically like the guy who sacrificed his body or submitted or allowed him to have his body, but Batman said it was like poisoned or something beforehand. So that also carries over to where Roz says this body won't do, because it's poison. I'm rotting. Look, I'm not feeling pain because everything is just dead and I'm just held together as a mummy. I need younger. I need better. Sam Tang, the action movie star, vanished. So there you go. The Human Fist. He worked on Ra's al Ghul's security staff for a few years. Ra's can be reborn from ashes. And so the I Ching and Batman and their discussion stuff really gets into some specifics on where the story's going. It surprises me that this Batman issue is called Prelude when it's like, without this, and you just pick it up with part one, it is kind of like, what you be what?
Oh yeah,
we need this. Why isn't it a part one of 8 at that point?
Because DC editorial.
There you go. All right, we solved that one. As stories with Roz, as we see, they do end up going across the Atlantic, or if you're going the other direction, across the Pacific, and then inland some. The books that this crossed over into, as I already read, Batman, Nightwing, Robin, Detective Comics, and it's obvious here too that it's all one story, and as we've seen with these different, as you just mentioned at the top of the show, Shadow War, when that hopped into other titles, that title's character is the main character of that chapter, of that issue. But I think that it really balanced well. So like in the Robin issue, that is technically part one, yes, it talks, like, Robin is the main character in this. We do check up quick though and add some context and some story with Batman and what's going on. I don't remember if Nightwing popped up into that issue, but that was a fun one. What you're teased with, and I love this, what you're teased with on the cover of the Robin issue is Damian versus Tim, and that's what the issue is.
Yeah, and it's I always love it when Damien faced off with Tim, and in this particular way, and Alfred being the voice of reason, he actually continues to see the good in everyone. But yeah, I mean, it's a good fight, and it just shows that, you know, both Tim and Damien know how to get at each other's goat, you know. And I mean, Damien got a good call out a few times, just thinking that, you know, I'm his son, you're never going to be his son.
Yeah,
you know,
that stings.
for Tim, like recently, as we get later, like he's gone through a lot of stuff, losing basically anyone he's ever come close to in the past year and a half. It's been rough for Tim.
He didn't even get to enjoy being adopted by Bruce, because like the very next issue, Damien was introduced.
Yep.
Or was it 2 issues later? Damien was introduced. And yeah, so that's it. So I mean, that stings, you know, but I think that it's a good issue that's also teased of, okay, so we're getting this sort of fight, but the ninjas are coming. But I want to take a time out and do a detour for this Robin art. It's Freddie E. Williams II. I have a hard time seeing that this is Freddie E. Williams, because in my head is the Batman TMNT books and was it Masters of the Universe and Justice League, and right now is Power Rangers versus Godzilla. I think there's a totally different style there than what's in this issue. So it's like, oh man, I don't see Freddie Williams in this at all. But it's his.
Then at that point, it's early in his career. So
yeah,
still refining. So that's kind of cool.
Looks good. Definitely. But I sent it to pal Ryan Haas, and he was just like, I think it definitely looks like Freddie Williams. I'm like, man,
You're wrong.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. He's like, you shut down your podcast. You don't know what you're talking about. But I've hard time seeing it.
I do like that. I do like Talia calling out Bruce's number for caring more about his villains than the safety of his own son.
Yeah,
and farming out his son's safety to the Bat family.
Yeah. That's why, even though Talia is okay, so Catwoman you feel is on the line a lot, but leans more towards hero than villain. Talia, you definitely feel more villain than hero.
Oh yeah,
but
there's never been a time I trusted Talia.
Yeah, and then there's just something too of with the Talia Bruce relationship when it's done like really well, which Morrison, like, that became the foundation of his long run. Like a lot of Al Ghul, especially Talia, involved, but the dynamic between the two is done really, really well. So she's also one that she will call out Bruce's BS. She's not intimidated by him in the slightest. And then you have instances where she sends ninja man bats after him. And then if this is not too many issues later and it's just those two, she's not intimidated. He's still helping her out, and they're allies for this. And it's, I think maybe that is why the Al Ghul relationship with Bruce, Talia, or Roz, like, it's always now appreciated, because don't know how this is going to end up. I don't know what's really going to happen next. You might think you do, but they're so untrustworthy, but you know that they're not like snakes about it either. It's very calculated. It's very intelligent manipulation to get what they want. So I like it.
No, it's good. And then when you get to the other chapter and it's continuing, Talia trying to keep cutting at Bruce being a bad father.
Yeah.
But, you know, with Nightwing coming into the fold, you know, him taking down the 3 female criminals in short order made me laugh. But, you know, I love you know, again, this is why I really do enjoy Batman and Robin Eternal, you know, all the Robins working together. Dick making the choice to save the female criminals versus saving Tim and Damien. He is pulling, that's totally what Bruce would do. Because he would make the same things, like, they can take care of themselves. I don't have to worry about them. They'll be okay. And that comes back to bite Dick later on, you know?
Yeah.
Because, you know, later on, Tim feels like he made the poor choice. He didn't save his family. He saved 2-3 random criminals. You know, I don't know. It's hard. I can see both sides of the coin on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's just in his nature of, I'm not here to kill, I'm here to save. it's also trust in the fact of Tim can, I don't know, he trusts Tim to be able to get his way out of this. The whole Wayne Manor invasion of ninjas, that was awesome. Like, that was really cool. It made me think of, which is funny because this precedes it, but it made me think of Court of Owls, that issue. Sometimes when there is a Wayne Manor invasion, I like it. It's not a trope I want done over and over again, in which it's good that so far it's not. I don't think. I think that's just, it was a fun issue. And then having Nightwing, Tim, and Damian all together and fighting, I don't, that was a fun chapter. I guess it would be in your book issue and in what I was reading. Develops, and that's where it's not a wasted issue, the Robin or the Nightwing issues. It's, I mean, your book that you have right there is Batman, the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. But they're, I mean, of the issues collected, half of them are Batman books. But it's not wasted. The story is developing. The story is moving along because you need to get Tim and you need to get Damian kidnapped and taken to go see Ra's. Hey, what for? Because Ra's, that's when he proposes to Damian of kind of like, I want your body. He says to, basically to Tim, he flirts that idea with him of, I can get you to talk to your parents again. And that really messes with Tim's head. Because at this point, it's still, I mean, in the character's history, his parents' death is still pretty freaking recent in his brain.
Yeah, and he recently lost his dad in an identity crisis. He's lost Spoiler, his girlfriend, and it's just despite, like, this is another issue, I'm not a fan of chapter 3's art. The faces look a little, I don't know.
The Nightwing?
No, the third chapter with Ryan Benjamin doing the pencils.
Oh, okay, the detective issue. Literally part 3 of 7, as they claimed.
But like you said, like, that's where Tim gets, like, he's dangling, saying, if you join my side, I can make sure to bring back your parents. And
yeah,
for a kid that's lost both his parents, lost his girlfriend recently, kind of basically feels like he's losing his father to the quote unquote blood son. It's definitely a hard pill to not necessarily swallow.
Yeah, and I get what you mean about the art in that one, as I just flipped it open. And it's, I mean, there's an image. It's when Batman and Talia are talking, and Batman's got a really strange shape, and then there's some coloring issue for Talia where it looks like she's got 3 big buck teeth.
Yep, I'm literally looking at that. Yep.
Yeah, that's I don't think Bruce would go for that, but whatever. The heart wants what the heart wants. But no, I get you on, and that's another another key issue to the story, because it's got Nightwing and Alfred now. Alfred's involved because they got to go flying overseas.
Don't underestimate Alfred. Size matters not.
No, they find their, and I think that's where, Batman finds out as he puts the sword up to Ra's, who at this point he's looking green. He's looking worse. He should put the toilet paper back on.
Yeah.
And as is, when you think of with Ra's, you instantly think of it in Batman. You think of that Neil Adams cover, and you're like, sword fight, right? Like somehow it's like there's got to be swords involved with Batman and Ra's at some point. And so that's where you get your sword. Batman has it out, and Ra's just walks into it, and he's like, pain is no longer a mitigating factor. So that's where Batman starts, like, that's where he learns, like, oh hell. Okay, this is new.
well, then you get to the next chapter, and I wrote in my notes here, Batman always finding his inner Captain Kirk with the Kobayashi Maru scenario, finding a way to still cheat death with a third option to take Ra's to
classic Batman.
Yeah, Nanda Parbat to find the Fountain of Youth there. I was like, yep, that's it. Way to go, Captain Kirk.
He did, because that Detective Comics issue, 838, so part, as it's labeled, part 3 of 7, at the end of, like, that's Raz's proposal to him is he's either boy would be a fine host for my brain, so Tim or Damian, though naturally that means everything the lad would cease to exist. Having to make such a decision would tear my soul in two. which is why I'm going to make you do it, which will be detective. Which one of your boys lives and which one dies? So that's a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. And he's
oh my goodness.
And then you don't even have to wait too long because they're like, neither. I'm going to take you to basically the fountain of youth.
Classic Batman. He's like, I'm just going to tell you neither. And Roz says, oh, okay, let's go on a road trip.
Now,
in which they go to the fountain of youth.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of that? The reveal that the sensei is Roz's dad.
Well, and again, because I don't read this one too often, there's a lot of time in between my reads. I totally forgot about that. And it instantly makes me think too. And I think this is how I've always felt about it. I'm like, wait, was I supposed to know this? Or is this new information? So I'm going to pretend it's new information. Is it new information, Chris?
Like you said, it'd been a long time. So I'm going to go with yes, it's new information.
Okay, there you go. Roz has a dad and his name's Sensei. He's 4 years old and he's like, Daddy, and he got smacked. He's like, my name is Sensei.
I mean, we did learn about his mom in the Lazarus pit, the Lazarus, died on Death Island, basically, as I call it.
Yeah. I mean, the Al Ghul's family drama. That should be a new series. The Al Ghul's.
Get him on Jerry Springer. It could be fun.
Yeah. Let's resurrect that show. But resurrect the Al Ghul's. So anyways.
And Sensei beats the crud out of Bruce, like basically spearing him too. And I'm just now I missed something at some point. I was like, wait a minute. He falls into the water, it burns. He's like, why does it burn? Bruce falls in and like Bruce has a gaping hole, and then I'm guessing at that point it's like it's not really explained, but the waters are healing him, because you go to the next chapter and he's leaning up against something, like he's not showing one bit. Like it's almost like the artists didn't talk to each other. It's like, dude, he's supposed to be looking pretty ragged. What the heck happened?
Well, I think that I wonder if in it, while they were planning and plotting this story, if they were like, this issue needs to go to the Batman team, because I just get the vibe in reading this that like Tony Daniel had a hell of a time drawing this issue.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really cool action throughout this entire issue, some good fighting, some good moments where I wonder if that is like this is a little bit of an artist spotlight issue. I think I think it's all done really, really well. It's really cool, it's really effective. And like you said, Sensei beats the crap out of Bruce. I mean, for a moment I almost thought, is this another instance where Batman gets hit so hard he loses teeth, but yet for some reason he always has all of his teeth? But nope, it's like the part of his cowl, like the lenses in the eyes, it seems like that shatters.
Yep. And not damaging his retina at all,
No, because he's Batman. He's got a backup retina and a backup to the backup, because he's always fully prepared.
He's literally stabbed through vital organs and fine.
Yeah,
like next issue, not showing any signs of this happening.
Comic books, am I right? I at least I got a little confused and had to pause my reading to go back and forth towards the end of this one, of Sensei gets knocked into the fountain of youth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, like you see that Bruce is not in it. Sorry, Batman. Spoiler alert, Batman's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he doesn't fall into it at all.
He doesn't fall into it. The next page, everything's burning. You have a monk that's looking over Roz's body, and then you've got the panel of Bruce's, like his Batman's hand coming up, like he's climbing out of it, even though he wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you felt the monk, or whatever, and that's, you end up learning. Well, then Bruce, it seems like Bruce is in the fountain of youth. And then the next issue, the monk is Roz. But then it's like, I don't know, it took me a little bit to kind of understand, oh, okay, so that was Batman climbing. The way that's colored behind his hand, I know this is getting really specific. It looks like that, to me, that made it look like he's climbing out of the fountain of youth.
But you look at the previous page, he's not even anywhere. He's next to it, but he's not in it at any point. But then you go to the next issue and he's standing beside the tree, and he doesn't show a big gaping hole in his suit. where he was literally stabbed. So even if he got in the water and it healed him, fine. I didn't realize the Fountain of Youth could also fix fabric. At
If you have torn clothes, go to the Fountain of Youth.
He doesn't look beat up in his face. Some of the the Kevlar is gone on his arm. Like the chainmail is gone. It's still there. So it's just like, what happened?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and I think and I noticed that how I kept going back. I'm like, okay, it's a comic book, but also I need to make sense of this. What happened here? How did this happen? And then it took me a second to where even the transferring of consciousness clicked of like, oh yeah, that's how he's doing it. Okay, that's how this story, that's how he's doing it. Okay, but what happened to Batman? How did that happen? All being said, that's a great image, especially to tease as he's getting up and looks good. That's a good looking Batman right there.
I love in chapter 5 the debate. I love Damian saying don't trust anyone over 30, and then Talia follows up by don't trust anyone who's had over 30 lives.
That was good. Always smart. And I mean, if I'd be stuck right there in front of them, they drop like a really good line like that in real life, and I'd probably be like, wow, that's a really good line. Oh yeah, you got ninjas and they're gonna come and stab me, whatever. But you know what, Talia? Sorry, Mrs. Ghul. I'm sure I would have to call you. You're good.
That's good. That's a good line.
It's a good line.
But it's an appropriate chapter name just because Damien is, not Damien. Tim is having a real crisis of consciousness. He is really tempted to go and agree to join Roz's troop.
Mm-hmm.
And despite I Ching trying to stop him. And I love it. He says at the end, to fight you is to only harden your resolve. The superior man must decide for himself which path to take. Go ahead, Robin. I will not try to stop you. And at the end, he may not try to stop you, but I sure as hell will. And another Robin fight.
Here we go. Another one. But this one, I don't know. Because I liked the other one.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked this Nightwing issue. I really liked this fight. I liked all their dialogue. I liked Dick's inner monologue. Because I mean, they gave it time to flesh it out. It wasn't like a one-page fight and then over with. It wasn't Tim being like, but Dick, it's a really good deal. And Dick says, it's a really bad deal. And Tim says, you're right. And then they move on. It's like they give it weight, give it time to play out. And in the end, you could say nothing really changed, but like, no, it's relationship building between Tim and Dick.
Mm-hmm.
Dick is the good big brother to Tim, so he's not there to hurt him. He's there to help him and to help him realize like this may look appeasing, it's not the way. And Tim has to work his way out of that to where in the end it is like, he breaks down in front of him, but like goal achieved at that point.
Yeah, especially, there's some great splash pages with them and their fighting at that point, just because they're very different fighters in how they go about things. But, like we said, Tim's gone through so much, losing Spoiler, losing Connor, losing his dad in the last year and a half. He's trying to find something at that point, but, Dick trying to reason with him, saying like, they've been gone too long. You can't restore their soul, truly can't restore it. And eventually, let's make the choice. And if he stops him, he says he doesn't trust him. And if he goes through with it, I shouldn't have ever trusted him. But Tim makes the tough choice, and both brothers hug. It's the appropriate way to end this.
Yep, absolutely.
But I do like when the last page is like, wait a minute, Roz is back and he's taking the life of Damien. What the heck happened?
Can't forget, we got to tease you to read the next part. I really like. So I like when, they come out of the pit or whatever, and they're back like in the mountain. They're waiting for Alfred to come with the plane. And Talia comes walking up, massive battle axe in one hand, massive sword in the other. And Dick says in his mind, sometimes I forget what Bruce ever saw in her. And then there are times like this.
Yeah,
where you could just see she just took out an entire militia on her own. Yeah. You just believe that's what happened because she's a badass.
Yeah, and so you look at that final page where Roz looks basically back to normal. He's stuck in the life of Dane. You turn to the next page. Okay, again, wait a minute. You guys aren't talking to each other because Roz looks mostly healed. In this case, he's like still looking zombie like, and I was like, Okay, no one's talking to you. DC editorial. You got to talk to these people and telling them how they're each looking, because this is boggling my mind.
It's thinking that we haven't put together after a big portion of the middle of this issue is the monk explaining to Batman, I'm Roz now. And then that page at the very end is the weird green outline of like the monk spirit or something, but then it's Roz, and it's like, no, we'd have got it. Like we understood. You spent quite a few pages in this issue. It's self-explaining. We got it. It's okay. But you need the striking image, I guess.
I love, now Batman's doing everything to protect Damian because he's there. But the revelation of the White Ghost being Roz's son.
What?
There's a lot of family revelations.
Family drama. What's his real name? I know he's the White Ghost. Did it start with a D?
I did not commit that to memory. I just kept on calling him the White Ghost.
Yeah, I just remembered that was easy because I even went back and I was like, wait, no, his name is this. And then sure enough, so that's where Roz gets Dusan or Dusan, Dusan.
But it's almost kind of a little laughable at that point, because I kind of laughed like, wait a minute, you obviously knew he was your son this entire time. So the revelation's more so for us and others noticing it. So you could have gotten a lot of problems and just taken out your son and not have to go. This whole thing is like, come on, man, I've already solved half your problems. Let's take out your son. You didn't need him. Yeah, he was loyal, but you can find other loyal, family members, right?
There's a lot of your ninjas that are in great shape and would give like sacrifice for you, like that. But okay, go for the White Ghost.
But the body wouldn't last because it had to be blood.
That's true. Okay, well, there you go. Really cool, big battle at the end. I mean, Talia takes Damian and runs. Roz, he does some epic fighting and some of the followers, and then you've got who is it? Ramakrishna. They're basically like, get out, and everybody gets out.
It's like, you've defiled these lands. Roz, you're never invited back. Everyone else, sorry.
Bye-bye. And basically, like, everybody takes note. So I feel like that's like that as an ending. It's like it almost feels a little abrupt.
Because the sword fight was very little between Roz and Batman.
And now, did you go back and read Detective 840?
I did not read the epilogue.
With what happens in that one?
Unfortunately, I am not. I'm a bad Batman person. I did not read
we're both on equal playing field here then. Okay. I didn't read the prelude. I didn't read this part. But it's not crucial. However, it's really interesting to see writer Paul, like on the a big splash page, the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul epilogue. Writer Paul Dini welcomes the new art team of Dustin Wen and Derek Friedhoff to Detective Comics. And then, as you guys will know, there's a really good run of comics that had Paul Dini and Dustin Wen.
who I think Paul Dini writes some of the best Hush that could rival actual Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb.
I have a hot take. If anybody ever picks that story, I love that story.
Yeah,
that's such a good story.
I will put that and think it's a better Hush story than Hush's.
All right, Chris said it first. Everybody, send your hate mail to him. But I agree. Anyways, this story is actually just there's an artifact, a globe artifact that Roz and some ninjas come and try and take. Roz is like glowing white, basically at this point. Batman finds a way to get him committed to Arkham Asylum, where his body has to be put. Let's see. I thought that he said exactly. Basically, he's got a serum. They reunite, clash, separate. Batman tracks him down, gets him, and basically gets him committed to Arkham. The paperwork and everything that he has to go deep into the cells of Arkham and be basically getting this serum every like hour that keeps Roz basically just like, in which the files back up. Whatever he tells you is going to be utter nonsense. That's a good, like, classic Paul Dini. It's a good way. They explain how, and it's like, we're tucking Roz away for a while until we need him, and this is a perfect way to just close the chapter on him for now.
Yep.
That's the epilogue way. It's a fun read. It's Paul Dini. Come on. It's a good epilogue if you got the time to track it down on DC Universe Infinite. Just like I got some homework to do. Chris, you don't have homework to do, but if you got 20 minutes, track it down. Give it a read.
I think I can do that.
Okay. Is there anything else to touch on that that we haven't yet before we start to wrap up?
Yeah, like I said, overall, I think it's a good kind of another good Raw story. Is it my favorite Raw story? It's definitely up there. I wouldn't call it my top one, but I definitely enjoy going back to this.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you. It's not my top, but it's a good story. Mm-hmm. Liked it the first time I read it. I've liked it every time since. Yeah, this is a good Ra's al Ghul story. That's a little bit more expansive than just like some of the not typical even, than ones that came before that I thought were a little bit more contained. This feels bigger, which is really cool, and I appreciate that. So that being said, let's get into some favorites.
All right,
Chris, what was your favorite part of the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul?
I would have to say, Chapter 6, Living Proof, because of the Nightwing and Tim. That definitely had a lot of heart to it, and it definitely, I think this is the first time Tim's had to really come to terms and be outward in front of like what he's dealing with.
Yeah. Okay. There's a really good actor in a really fun movie. His name's Gary Busey. The movie is Point Break, and he says, "Utah, give me 2," because I fully agree. My favorite part is that fight from that Nightwing issue between Dick and Tim, because there's this, it's a fight that you're not worried one's going to kill the other. You feel pretty safe. But it's the dialogue in between. It's the lesson Tim learns. It's Dick being patient to his younger brother. I think there's a lot there that's like a relationship build that is like, God, this makes you like Dick Grayson even more. This makes you like Tim Drake even more. It makes you respect their relationship even more too. So I think all in an issue.
You say Gary Busey, and every time someone says Gary Busey, I just think of Saturday Night Live's 25th anniversary, where Billy Crystal's playing Fernando, and he's talking to people in the audience, and he says, "Oh my God, Gary Busey, you're alive! I'm so happy for you, but I lost $20. No, don't get up. Oh, the second coming."
I don't know that. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube right now. So as soon as we're done, I'm gonna watch it. That's funny. How about a favorite panel?
Favorite panel.
Yeah,
it's probably got to be something. I would have to say. Let me. Where is it? I know it's going to be Tony S. Daniel, just because.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely going to be that related. I just want to make sure. Let's see. Where is it? It would be. Yes, it would be probably chapter 5. And it would definitely kind of be the fights between him and Sensei.
Okay. All right. That's good. We're really close. I thought maybe we'd do it again, but it's the end of Batman 671, Tony Daniel. I don't care that you and I question it a little bit. That's a good looking image of Batman in the Fountain of Youth saying, "Roz!" Great Tony Daniel image. Love it.
It is.
Give me that.
It definitely is. Just to have everything changed in the next issue, it's like, oh, everything's fine. He never thought it.
You know what? I don't know if story-wise that makes sense, but that looks really good. How about, would you like to see this adapted in animation?
Yeah, I could see it. Standing where DC animation is these days, it's hit or miss, but I wouldn't mind it.
I think they definitely could they could pretty much leave everything in and do a really good 75-minute movie that could, pacing is great. Include everything, take it all up, because it includes not too many characters, but enough characters. It includes not too many locations, but enough locations, a lot of action, but a lot of like drama too. The Al Ghul family. That's enough drama for you. But I think this could be a really cool out there pick for them to do an animated movie on.
I still think my one I would love to see would probably Contagion and Legacy. I would love to see that. a not a 75-minute, because that would just be the slap in the face of everything, but
Yeah.
of Nightfall, Night's Quest, Night's End, and then No Man's Land.
Oh, so now you're talking animated series.
Oh yeah,
The whole animated series.
No, don't. Again, they messed up. They messed up with Injustice. You had it on the table where you didn't have to combine everything into one movie. You could have done a series, but they tried, and in my opinion, they failed miserably. But that's me.
Yikes. Again, send your hate mail to Chris.
I do not question if you yourself, Ryan, like it, or other people like it. Sorry, I'm too much of a fan of the comics, not wanting a straight adaptation. I'm good with adaptation. Sure. I was not good with what they decided to do.
What they did with that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Hey, fair enough. You know what? I haven't watched it in a long time, so maybe I don't even like it, and I just think I do. Maybe by now, I don't know.
What I have come to see is people who have not read the comic like it. The people that do read the comic and really like it are the ones that have problems with it. So
fair enough. Okay. Yep. I've only read a little bit of that comic series, and it was like, I don't know, the first 13 issues or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so there you go, which apparently is like only scratching the surface on the Injustice series. So do you have any final thoughts, any final words on the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul?
Nope. I enjoyed revisiting it, and definitely, as always, I enjoy coming onto your show and talking all things Batman.
Absolutely. Please come back. Please.
Will
Please. Do. People don't like me anymore.
I gotta get part of the 5-timers club. I've got to get.
That's true. There. You got to get one of those special jackets.
Yeah.
Although it might just be a special bookmark. That's all I can afford right now. But anyways, there you go.
That's okay.
Collector's item. I appreciate you coming back on. Thank you so much. And why don't you please plug away anything that you'd like to?
Yep. As you said at the opening, I'm part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. So I have 2 shows on there. I've got World's Finest True Believers, where a guest comes on and we chat about any graphic novel or a comic book arc of the guest choosing from any publisher. And you yourself.
Wow, that sounds similar to Batman Book Club.
I know.
I'm sorry that I stole it.
I just open it up to everything instead of because that way I don't have to worry about saying, hey, it could be anything. And so you've been a guest on there, a number of people that we are mutuals with at that point, but that goes monthly, dropping on the last Sunday of the month of each month. And then my other weekly show on there is Marvel Alliance, where my buddy Brent and I talk everything going on in the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Comics, Marvel on streaming, just everything that goes weekly on Thursday nights live on the Geekverse YouTube channel and drops on Friday mornings on the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. Or if you just want to, I know this is a DC show, but if you just want to know everything Marvel, you can subscribe to Marvel Alliance on our solo feed. So find me there. It's a lot of fun. Enjoy it. So
there you go. Fans can like anything and everything they want.
And if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Chris Balga. So I
was gonna say, Chris, my friend, what's your Twitter? We need to know where to send all the hate mail for your Injustice thoughts. No, please don't.
And all my other hot takes at that point that are quite interesting. But
you're such a controversial figure.
Yes, as you see, every I get into Twitter fights all the time, which I really don't, because I don't have the patience for. I just say, that's interesting. Scroll up.
Yep. Have a good day.
Yep.
So please do follow Chris, follow some of his stuff that he's doing. I have it locked and loaded. Recently, he dropped an episode talking to the great Mike Grell. I can't wait to listen to that. He teased me before we started recording on some good information. It's on there, good conversation. So please follow him. If you want to follow the Batman Book Club, you can do that on Twitter and Instagram at the Batman BC for latest episode drops, upcoming episodes, sometimes some giveaways. Do subscribe to the Batman Book Club YouTube channel. Currently doing a Road to No Man's Land series with my pal Peter R. Vera, as well as continued on recently the From Page to Screen, talking Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with my other Midwestern pal, Garrett Grubb. So do subscribe to that. Other cool stuff is coming up. If you have questions or comments that you want to write into the show, you can do that at thebatmanbc@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to support the show, a variety of ways you can do that. Patreon.com/thebatmanbc. The store at TeePublic, tpublic.com, search TBBC, the Batman Book Club, where you can find t-shirts, notebooks, hoodies, onesies for your little ones, anything at all if you would like to support the show that way. But lastly, if you want to support the show and you don't want to spend any money at all, that's 100% A-okay. Just rate and review the show wherever you listen to the show. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, iHeartRadio, Yep, got it. iHeartRadio. There we go. I thought for some reason I made something up. Just rate and review the show because it helps spread the word. Let's rewind, because the more reviews the show gets, the more it helps spread the word. And as we all know, the word is panic. So for Chris Balga, I am Ryan Lauer. And until next time, read more Batman comics.
Always.